This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 931 for the week of Monday, August 17th, 2026. My name is Zach.
And my name is Kirsten. I've been promoted.
Congratulations. Kirsten is my co-host for the new series that we're doing called One Piece by the Book. We are reading one volume of One Piece during each break week, and you could join us. This week, we are going through Wanted, which isn't technically a volume of One Piece, but is it's Oda's starting point, is what it is. And also Kirsten, and we're going to say this on air as well, this was our first time really reading through these stories.
Yeah, it was, I mean, again, we talk about it, but it does feel like an anthropological item. I was not that interested in it to begin. It just sort of was this thing where I was like, yeah, I'll probably read that eventually. But it was a very interesting read, especially as we, and I assume most listeners are all fans of Oda's. It's interesting to see him as just sort of like the scrappy teenager who's like, guns are cool, and then
swords
arrive
are cool
at One Piece. Yeah, evolve from guns are cool to swords are cool to Luffy.
Punching is cool.
Yeah, to punching is cool.
What's important is violence. Very, very cool. Especially for teenagers, to be fair, that does fit the archetype.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this was a ton of fun, and we get to have our very special guest translator for One Piece and Weekly Shonen Jump Manga Plus, Stephen Paul, join us for this first installment. We will be doing something similar to this for each volume. You're kind of getting a miniature version for each of the 5 stories where we talk about what was going on when Oda was writing these chapters, what happens in the chapters in this volume, what stuck out to us as the coolest or least cool thing about it in retrospect, with potential spoilers, at the end of that, which, maybe we'll be making some stinger in the future for that's not really relevant for this week, but may in the future. Now, 30 years later, how does this story look? And then we rank things, which we do for these 5 stories. I'm going to say fairly, and I think we did a great job ranking them, and I'm sure there won't be any controversy around it.
We did a great job, and everyone will very much support my opinions about monsters.
Yes, well, we'll get there. If there's one thing we know is that the internet loves opinions.
Yes.
Just generally, really.
Yes.
They always tell me that. I don't know who they is in that. So we're going to do that. But before we get into that, we wanted to go through a little bit of news and One Piece news that's been going on. I think Kirsten specifically had a piece of news that she wanted to do. Before we get into that, though, you have to hold off a couple minutes longer, because I have to tell people that they could subscribe to us on Patreon, and especially for By the Book, which hopefully we will be recording ahead of time. Those episodes will hopefully be out more significantly early and ad-free. But all episodes of ours are available ad-free on there, and you get alternate titles, alternate art. Huge thanks to Kirby for the art for the By the Book series. I hope you like it. It's outstanding and kick-ass. Yeah, Kirsten, how do you feel to be Kirbified? I think we've both been Kirbified, and there's no other way to take that.
Thrilled. I'm so thrilled to be Kirbified. I feel Kirby's version of me is very flattering, especially initially. I had sent Kirby a press photo, and my Kirbified version looked so put together, like such a responsible adult.
Did send him a press photo.
I did send him a press photo. So
put
then
together someone could look.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, wait, here's a version of me and my cat. This
Yeah,
is
that's I just did
I
me and
can
kids
yeah,
selfies when I'm tired, and so that, to be fair, I am tired all the time, so that's correct.
same.
Yeah, so that I think is conveyed. I yeah, huge thanks to him though. Super awesome. And
Thank
he'll
you,
be doing
Kirby.
different art for each volume. So look forward to that. That's going to be really cool. And I had way too much fun putting text on it. So I hope you enjoy that too. YouTube thumbnails and stuff. Um, there was something else about that. Oh, I do want to let people know before they listen that this is a pilot episode in all senses of the word. Kirsten will probably be sounding much better in future episodes.
Yes.
And yeah, I do want to warn people about that. So if I'm talking over Kirsten, it's at least 70% because of the internet.
Yeah, I have a 2-bedroom Japanese apartment, and yet apparently my Wi-Fi router cannot go a single room. So we're working on that, and it will be better next time. Sorry, everyone.
Yes, I just don't want it to look like Stephen and I are ignoring Kirsten. It was just internet things. Um, and it is still a very fun discussion though. It will not hinder your enjoyment at all. So please listen to it. But first, as I mentioned, Kirsten has something important that she wants
Oh
to say.
gosh, am I
Kirsten,
introducing the bit of news?
the bit of news. You get to introduce the bit of news.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Well, I didn't plan anything, but
I didn't
basically,
think you did.
great. Um, as you may have all seen, a couple weeks ago, there were these very sus images going around the internet of McDonald's toys that were a combination between it was SpongeBob characters as One Piece characters, and they were all kind of like coming up over this like boxy thing, and everyone thought these are fake. These look so effort. How are these things even toys? Somebody
Yes, we
must
did
have put
say
it
that.
through AI. Yeah. Um and guess what? It's real.
I think
It's a real thing McDonald's is
we're in an
doing.
information age that now it's not like, oh, it was fake is the news. It's, oh, it was real. Um,
It's so dark.
it's really dark.
It's so
We live
dark
in a
that this is
dystopia.
where we are.
Yeah. Um, ugh, back to be
Cuz
back when we
even
started this podcast in 2009.
oh
The good old
man,
days
yeah.
when there was only other awful things happening, but you didn't hear about it all the time, and there was no AI. So that's really the big difference.
AI just makes everything so much more exhausting.
That's a word.
It has made our lives, yeah,
Yeah.
it has made our lives worse.
So yeah, I believe the toys that we saw are official. So like SpongeBob and Luffy, SpongeBob and Gear 5 Luffy, Patrick and Zoro, which so look, I know Steve and you, I feel like, and there's a few others on our crew, of course, who are like big SpongeBob heads. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'll go through these, but like I definitely did watch a lot of SpongeBob, believe it or not. And it definitely did stick into my brain more than you would think, just not to the level of like The Simpsons or something for me, because I was just a little too old, like a couple years out of it. Anyway, so I preface this discussion with that. Patrick and Zoro, Squidward Sanji, Gary Chopper. This is their full names now. Plankton Usopp, Mr. Krabs Jimbei, Pearl Robin, Larry Frankie. That I like. Just as a full name.
Yeah, the Larry Frankie one
Yes.
is by far the best.
It's well, Mrs. Puff and Lin I think is
Yeah,
great.
that's the other one that's very good.
That they would do that. Like a Lin one, like a Big Mom one is great. Sandy Nami, which that one, other than gender, I feel like isn't similar in the
Yeah,
least.
Well, we'll get to my thoughts in a
And
moment.
then we have the
Yes.
Flying Dutchman and Teach. And the Flying Dutchman should have been Vanderdecken because that was the name of his ship. And we all want more Vanderdecken merch, right? Right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know. Do like the Flying Dutchman as one of Perona's ghosts?
Ooh, that would have been fun. Or,
That would have been fun.
I mean, I get it. It's the most piratey, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the rest of them?
But
Yeah, because I'm sure you have opinions.
they suck.
Oh, okay. I mean, Pearl Robin is a bad one. I agree.
I think like the Squidward Sanji gives me some joy because of the clarinet. It's just funny that he's kicking and also has his clarinet. But like
The Zoro Patrick one, I think, is right. He does have one
I
brain
mean,
cell.
sort of. It is just like I don't know.
Of
So, like,
them, I think that Mr. Krabs should be Nami, right?
Mr. That would be so
It
funny.
would be great.
Yeah. Mr. Krabs' Nami would be funny. I don't know who should be Robin.
Plankton's the worst, I think, of
Sandy
the
is Robin. Honestly.
Sandy is a better Robin.
Sandy is
Yeah.
Robin.
Isn't she an academic in the show?
Yeah, she's like
She's researching
kind of brainy and does
marine
research.
life,
Yeah,
I guess is technically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Misses her home.
She has extra hands in this. She has the karate hand, foam hand thing in the figure.
Yeah.
And, Robin is also someone who has extra hands. So it's perfect. But Jimbei for Mr. Krabs is losing me so much. And Plankton as Usopp is so weird.
It makes no sense at all. Plankton as Teach would have been funny. Like
Plankton
is Emu if you really want to go god
Plankton
tier funny.
Emu is perfect. That is chef's kiss great, I think. Gary as Chopper, I get. Like, you're the mascot.
I get, but also the Den Mushi is right there.
That's too easy.
And it's too easy, but also
no, I mean I agree with you. I'm just being facetious.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like my issue with these, and it's just like, so my background with SpongeBob is that it was like my original obsession. When I was in middle school, like, people knew me as the girl obsessed with SpongeBob. Nice. Which... tells you a lot about my nerdiness levels throughout my life.
I'm going to say, I feel like, so SpongeBob was like one of, consistently, for those who don't know, SpongeBob was popular in the days, like, I was very into Toonami, so I would follow TV ratings. And SpongeBob consistently was the #1 animated show across the board, network, cable, whatever, like, SpongeBob always did amazingly in reruns and whatever, like it's so, for you to say like you were the SpongeBob person, I feel like today that's like saying you're a One Piece person, where it's like, okay, you're like a popular thing, don't feel bad about it.
I really like
yes
it,
well I really like One Piece, so I also relate into that analogy. And you liked it before it was cool, but I'm sure.
Before it was cool, yeah. But it was also, I mean, I can still probably quote full episodes. Like, Band Geeks for sure, I could just reenact for you. So...
Okay, one day on this program, that request will be made.
What a genius 10 minutes of television. Anyway... But this is all to say, like, I feel like this should be for me, right?
That's true.
I should be over the moon that this is occurring, and instead I feel kind of betrayed.
Yeah.
Like, it just sort of feels like my two favorite,
Funko Pops.
two favorite series. Yeah. Like my two favorite series are collaborating in the laziest and
Mm.
most like money grabbable way possible, and it's just so disappointing.
I often I think Steve mentioned this. So, like, Steve, for those who don't know, is the guy who did the King of the Hill Sailor Moon drawing from a while ago. He's the guy. Um, and I think he's mentioned, like, it used to be very novel to see crossovers like that, for example, or like this, like the idea of a crossover between two IPs was very like, whoa, I can't believe that's so cool. Or like, even if it's unofficial, just like it felt very galaxy brained. Where in this, I think, is an example of kind of the current day, like complete and utter, as you said, laziness of the same concept. I can't think of an analogy like societally or culturally, but I'm sure there's some easy ones to think of. As to like something that really felt cool 10, 20 years ago and has been redone so much that it like loses all of its I don't know, uniqueness and whatever it might be.
And I mean, I think it could have still felt like exciting if, I mean, like if the sort of boxy Mary was not so like monochrome and cheap
Well, it's from
looking.
McDonald's.
Like
I don't.
It's from McDonald's, but there's cool McDonald's
Well,
toys,
here's the interesting thing too. It's not available in Japan. I believe it is available everywhere
Right.
else. Which was very interesting since there's a Japanese article on the official One Piece website, one-piece.com, that mentions it, and it says, this product is not planned to be released in Japan. And
they're too crappy to show to the domestic
audience. That's how I feel. It's very obvious that that's the case. But, I'm also, like, Happy Meal toys and stuff growing up, yes, they were cool, but they weren't like the highest quality thing. They were not the highest quality thing. So that part of it doesn't surprise me. Like maybe our expectations are too high.
They weren't, but also until I went through like my old room a couple of years ago, I still had some teeny beanies.
Oh yeah, me too. I did have teeny beanies. Those like, really the market for those definitely matured. I'm doing really well right now in my Beanie Baby stock market, obviously. What I should have been doing is collecting old Shonen Jumps. That's
But people were talking about the there's like a Sanrio Godzilla thing happening.
Oh yeah,
right now.
I did see that. That's a great idea.
That people are saying is like good.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And so it's just sad that these aren't good and that the pairings are not. They really just put zero thought into pairing the appropriate SpongeBob character. Like what about each character could actually map onto a character of One Piece, instead of just being like, oh, well, this character is this level popular in SpongeBob, and this character is this level popular in One Piece, so therefore Plankton is Usopp.
Yeah, it's a very... I'm never gonna... that doesn't even make sense there. That doesn't...
I think they're... I guess, to give them the benefit of the doubt, I guess they were... Because Plankton does a lot of, like, gadgets and inventions.
Maybe because they're both blustery?
Yeah.
And they are. But, I mean, that's such a weak link. But
they're just...
What I was gonna say...
The personalities of those two characters don't map. And it's not in, like, a funny way either, that, like, Mr. Krabs and Nami would be very funny.
That would be great. I think these kind of like IP collisions work best when they are so far afield from each other, like genre wise, that you're like, whoa, like the Godzilla Sanrio thing you mentioned. It's like, oh, that's really cool because that is just they're so not in the same universe in any capacity. But like SpongeBob, and I am sure we'll get people annoyed at this, but SpongeBob and One Piece are not so far afield from each other in that they are both they lean on comedy very heavily, I think. Like, it doesn't feel...
They're both long-running series where the main character is a lovable, naive idiot.
Yeah, they're not like... It's just such an odd... There's like no reason or rhyme to it either, so it's like very like, why? You know? Whereas if you take... I don't know, you take like One Piece and like a horror movie franchise, and that's a really interesting combo, or like just something completely different that I can't think of an example of right now, but I think that has more novelty to it these days. That's enough. I feel like we should probably move on. There was one other piece of news that I'm sure will also be somewhat outdated. Although it won't be completely outdated. So the WT 100 rankings have been coming out ahead of One Piece Day. And as we sit here right now, we have up to 500. There were a little over 1,500. So that's the bottom 2/3, if you want to call it that. So the middle third and the bottom third.
Will we know the 1,000 to 1,500 eventually?
Oh, they're out. It's out. They're all out.
Who's the bottom
Mino
character?
Ruba. Pause for applause. Okay. He's I'm looking him up.
Okay.
From Siobhan the Archipelago. Appeared in chapter 498. He's a bounty hunter. I will say this, in the third popularity poll, this guy is going places, I'm sure, because he's at the bottom now.
Yeah.
Or maybe he'll continue going down.
It's only up from here, buddy.
Well, it could be down.
Yeah,
the one piece of trivia about him is that he was ranked lowest of all eligible One Piece characters in the popularity poll. Yeah, that's the first thing I did. I'm like, who could possibly be at the bottom? Because even a fly in a soup will like probably be in the top 50, you know? Like, everyone has a fan.
Yeah. I am still excited to see where Yamato's side boob ranks.
Oh yeah, that might be in here. I have to search.
I don't think it's in here yet.
Well, we could look. Stroganoff. I don't remember him. He's a king of some sort.
Yeah, a bunch of these. One of the kids from Elbaf is in here. Oh, the kid with the horns.
All the kids from Elbaf are. But so this came out. You also have to remember like when this came out, and it was during the perpetual.
That's true.
Actually, it was during God Valley. Was like most of it, I think. Some of it was the children walking to their death, which they continue to be. Oh, I'm sorry. I just see there's a character here called Lemon Cheese, and forever my life has changed. And somehow you could Google that, and the first result for me, at least, is One Piece. The Queen of Bestland Kingdom. Interesting. Monarch from the Reverie. That's wow. Lemon Cheese. There you go. Sorry, it sounds so gross. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Even though like a lemon cheesecake, I guess, sounds good in theory, but
would be delicious.
Yeah. I love how Lo Dufeld is as like a character who like you would think would be named and like had an Oda box, and he's one of like these 5. Anyway. But yeah, all of the kids are very low because we didn't really know much about them at the time. Like Bjorn, for example, is 1293. We know he's the brother of the, I think it's brother of the amazingly popular Roto.
Amazingly
he's
popular.
So popular.
Roto's not in here yet. You know who I was most surprised to see in here already, and I feel like justice needs to be served, is Goldberg. Yeah,
Goldberg is way too low. Goldberg's great. In my opinion, like, you know, every celestial dragon should be at the bottom. Like, that's really all there is to it. I don't think there are many boring characters that are much worse. But this isn't a morality test. It's a popularity test. And as we know, popular people have no morality. So that checks out. I also forgot.
Amen to
I
that.
think Steven or Greg translated some of these. Like you have also like the line of dumbasses, which I always forget. Dumas, but I think it's supposed to be pronounced dumbass. Lady Tree, a friend of the podcast, 1032. I think that's too low. So what I'm also trying to do and have been trying to do is find our Glup Shitbeards, as we call them, which is a reference to Glup Shittos, which is a Star Wars reference. So now everyone's on the same page. The thing I learned is that the Eneru cover story folks have names, which I probably knew at some point and completely forgot, since that is somewhat useless information.
Weevil at 548 is interesting.
I'm going from the bottom up, I see you're going from the top to the bottom.
I am, yeah.
I saw Peterman like way higher than he should have been. As like, for those who don't remember, Peterman's the one who captures Kami in Shabandi, who we made fun of pretty mercilessly in the early days.
Wait a second. Yeah, because I'm going from the top. I need to know who Earth Boss is right now.
Earth Boss is the one from Gadatsu's cover story, I'm going to guess. I think that's the mole guy. I only know that because we just did the cover story ranking thing. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I think. Gabaru, who is dead and is not Caribou, but looks like Caribou, 930. We have Nita Hand, 930 also. Which I have to mention some of the funny name ones. Do we have anyone else that like sticks out in this lower amount? This lower tier. I haven't gotten Yonka 2 yet. I just got regular Yonka. I don't know who Jigoku Kamabuta Megaten Penchiro is.
Yonka 2, not yet ranked.
Oh, really?
Confirmed.
You did the search and everything?
Yes.
Dumas Face. That's one of my favorites. 806. That's a good one. So the good news here is, so I'm burying that as I was randomly going through it, is that it looks like a lot of the One Piece podcast Club Shitbeards did kind of rank in the 500 to 600s, which, we didn't pick one. So we split the vote, which not smart by us, but it's very hard to just choose one, when you have 1,500 plus characters. I, of course, want to give a shout out to Marianne. Flampe is at 617, beating, or actually tied with, Night Crab Girl, a character I totally knew existed. Do I want to Google this? Okay, good. One Piece comes up.
Do you?
I just did. It's a gifter in... Did she do anything? I don't remember. Night Crab Girl has eaten a crab smile for giving her crab claws instead of hands and an extra pair of legs. That's great. Night Crab is a pun on nightclub. Oh, Night Crab. I get it.
Okay. I also, another character that I just learned existed, 2 below Charlotte Flampe is Sea Dog Patrolman.
Oh, I love Sea Dog Patrolman.
Sea Dog Patrolman is amazing.
Above, you mean? 2 ranks above. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, above.
615. Yeah, Sea Dog Patrolman is... I know... Look, I know ACAB, but Sea Dog Patrolman is the best part of the Jinbei cover story. The mustache... it's more of an homage to the 80s police cinema that we have all come to love.
And a patrolman is not necessarily a cop. It could just be some freelance.
Are security guards okay? I don't actually know. Do they fall in the
security guards?
They're private.
Security guards are not necessarily cops.
Okay, yeah. This is a territory I'm not. Anyway. You also have Loki Clownin. I don't remember that character, but that's clearly a fake name that was made for this. Stanson, also too low. But it was early on, so we didn't know. Sea Kitten. Oh, that was also that. Actually, I take that back. The patrol. Forget about Patrolman Sea Dog, because 634 is Sea Kitten and Hamlet, both robbed. Both should have been significantly higher. Maddie clearly not working hard enough here for her boy. Shocking. Maha, which we named an episode after, 641. He has a mask.
Maha.
We have Jerry. Everyone knows Jerry at 652. I always forget, what is it, Ms. Monday and Mr. Nine, their kid, Non-Day. I think we mentioned that recently on a show. Let's see.
Oh, that's who that. He's a cute little guy.
Yeah.
Prometheus at 660.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Sea Ants from Whole Cake Island got to 683. What's up with that? Who's voting for Sea Ants?
Who's not voting for Sea Ants?
I can't refute that. I don't know why.
A lot of the other members of the Supersonic Duck Squad are in here. For those of us who
I was looking.
The Supersonic Duck
at that.
Squad.
So everyone's here for the same reason, and by that I mean Steve Yurko is here to hear that Fishbonin made it to 706, and there is no way that Fishbonin makes it to 706 without Steven Yurko. That's just impossible, because why else would anyone vote for Fishbonin? And I'll say Steve also shared like what looked like a fan cam video of Fishbonin with Steve's voice, and I'm like, I guess. Who else there were other Glub Shipbeards, but we should probably get to the show, because this is probably not interesting to listen to.
But it's fun to do.
Babaru, so that's the dead grandma. I think she was our main pick, got to 750. So that's not terrible. So go dead grandma, you know? Dead grandma? And Flapper, 761.
For all the dead grandmas out there.
So a lot of people forgot about Flapper, looks like. Okay, I said I was going to stop, but I saw Kelly Funk is at 777. Anyway, that jacket fruit. Let's get into the main show. As we mentioned, this is our pilot episode for One Piece by the book. And if you skip this segment, I don't blame you, because we just talked about SpongeBob and a bunch of characters we didn't know existed in One Piece. However, either way, I think you'll really enjoy this first episode, and we'll see you on the other side. Let's get into it. This is One Piece by the Book, a One Piece podcast series where we read through One Piece one volume at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Zach, and my co-host is...
Dun, 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 Kirsten. Now I get to do the thing.
Yeah, and our guest today is a very special guest. He is the translator for the series we are doing right now, One Piece, in Weekly Shonen Jump and Manga Plus, including translator for the volume that we are doing today. We have Stephen Paul with us. How's it going, Stephen?
It's going good. It's good to be wanted for this episode. No?
Nice.
Frown. Okay. All right. Thank you. One out of two ain't bad.
No, I didn't. Believe it or not, my mom called at the exact moment that you started speaking.
I don't believe
and
it.
it cut off my headphones. No, what did you... This is staying in, I guess.
Yeah, no, I can't do that twice. Yeah.
I don't even know what you did. Oh, God, I have to wait now to find out. Anyway, today we are going through Wanted, or as it is subtitled in English, Eiichiro Oda Before One Piece today. So we begin even before the beginning. For those who are joining us for the first time, which might be many of you, we are going to be reading one volume per episode, scheduling wise. These will be coming out during break weeks. So when a new chapter of One Piece is not available for us to talk about, we're going to have to go back to the beginning because there's not enough One Piece for us. For those who don't know, this series goes on for quite a while. But we hope you join us on this new adventure.
I did a very quick mental math, and if we did one of these a month until presumably the end of the series, it will take us over 10 years.
Well, as a podcast, we've been doing this 17, so very doable. And also, I'm sure the series will still be going in 10 years.
It is possible.
I don't know. It's possible.
Probably not, but it's
unlikely.
Possible.
Look, my predictions always don't come true, so that's fine. For those who are worried, will there be spoilers in this? The answer is toward the latter half of it, so you should be able to listen to the first half, and then while wearing your headphones, somehow cover your ears and loudly make a noise so you don't hear the spoilers.
I'll make
sure to keep
spoiler
listening.
music that we can play when we're about to get
good.
into the spoiler zone.
Oh, big promises. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Kirsten is also our musician, for those who don't know, so the music you hear is Kirsten. And or her compatriots.
The music is me, and I am the music.
Exactly. So as I mentioned today, we're going through Wanted. Wanted is a series of, is it 5 short stories?
Five.
It starts with Wanted, the titular the titular short story, Future Present from God, Ikiyako, Monsters, and Romance Dawn, which is actually the second of those. We'll go through it when we get there. These came out from 1993 through 1996, and this volume came out in Japan in 1998, and in the United States in 2024. And Steven, how was it working on this when you got the note that it's time to do it finally?
Well, yeah, this came about, I think, basically because of one of these stories in here, known as Monsters, which features a character who kind of sort of appears in the main One Piece series, and they did a special OVA sort of thing, a little one shot episode of anime that covered this a couple years back, and we put out the English version on the Shonen Jump app to go along with it. And I guess they figured, well, we're 20% of the way there. Let's just put out the rest of this book now. And yeah, I don't know. I'm sure this was always an option as far as like something to publish that went along with One Piece, but the bar for spin-off material is fairly high, just because they do not tend to sell very well, and so I think there was always, it was always kind of considered a marginal property to bring over this thing, but the moment was finally ripe, and so I got the chance to translate all of these, which is very interesting because it may surprise people, because I've talked about my history with One Piece and how long ago I had started reading this and kind of, aiding my journey to learn Japanese through One Piece. But I did not own a copy of Wanted before working on this in 2024. And I wasn't even particularly interested in owning it either. I guess that says something about like the particular nature of my relationship with One Piece and Eiichiro Oda. So that, in that sense, it was very interesting. It was not like a long-term dream come to life. It was more like, oh, we're finally going to do this. Okay, I guess I need to finally read these things. So yeah, I think all three of us probably are fairly new to this book.
Yeah, Kirsten, you go first.
Yeah, no, I had kind of a similar feeling as a fan going into reading this book, is that it's always been something that's like, yeah, cool, it's nice that exists. Like, I don't necessarily need to read it, But now that I have, I'm really glad that I have. It's a very like interesting anthropological dig into Oda's origins, and with each story you can watch him get better and try new things, and then like once you see Luffy, it's sort of like, okay, yeah, he's like honing it in, he's getting there. But even in, and we'll get to it, but even with the Romance Dawn iteration in this book, there's still obvious issues. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's a fascinating little read.
Yeah, and Stephen, as you mentioned, I don't know if it speaks to me as a fan either, but this was my first time reading through these stories. Much like they're my two biggest gaps in One Piece media, is this and the first 3 movies. And kind of for the same reason, is that they just haven't been readily available legally in English, so I just like haven't, and they're not so important for me, I guess, as a fan to fill in, but yeah.
I'm glad that Kirsten described it as like an anthropological view of Eiichiro Oda's history, because I do feel like that's probably like 90% of the value of this book. Like, it's not really, I wouldn't say that I would recommend this to somebody who doesn't like One Piece to be like, oh, you check out these brilliant short stories. Like, I think they're much more interesting viewed as like, kind of like minor league manga that he was doing before he got called up to the majors. Like, no one really cares what the stars were doing in the minors. It's only once you have a ton of investment in them to want, to be curious about what it was like back then.
That's an excellent analogy.
I have a question, which is that, like, is it difficult to translate something where the author is clearly inexperienced or like gaining experience as he's writing these stories?
That's a good question. I don't know. I feel like it probably just, if I had to guess, I would say it probably just comes out kind of naturally in, like, especially, we'll go through these, I think, one by one, but Wanted, his first, the titular Wanted, is very clearly like the oldest and the most amateur of the bunch. And I think there are definitely spots where you can really see the sort of youthful, amateurish, like, exuberance that comes through in the way that he writes this stuff. And I think even just like a straightforward translation, it does. I think you can sense that, that this is a much, much younger Eiichiro Oda, even if there are some similarities in the art style to what he would end up drawing. Like, the dialogue does have a certain youthful charm to it, let's say.
Absolutely. And like, having kids now, I could like appreciate, I mean, there's something really wonderful about that sort of, I don't want to say naivete, but like I think I know what I'm doing, I'm just gonna do it, and there's definitely something intoxicating about that, but there's also, obviously, he is learning, and anthropological is the best descriptor for this. Like, I do agree that despite the fact that this is the first episode of this series that we're doing, it might not be the place to start. But if you were like really interested in a very comprehensive and for some reason chronological look at the series, this is it. So why don't we start with the titular Wanted, which is written and drawn by Suki Himizu Kikondo, which is weird because I thought Eiichiro Oda was doing it, but whatever. No, that was a pen name that he had, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. That I probably butchered. Does it mean something funny?
It's I forget how I described it when we covered this, like in his, it was one of those One Piece magazine things where Oda was talking about his history.
We'll put some links in the description to some of our magazine interviews.
It's basically like the kanji for all of the days of the week. So it's like, it's like Montu Wen Thursday or something like that. Essentially
the Aqua Teen Hunger Force character. Yes. wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it sounds like a
There was one that
Hunger
just said
Force.
the days of the week, I thought. Anyway, this came out in February 1993. It was reprinted in... I don't know if I meant this specific short story in September 1998. Oh, yeah, I did, because the volume came out in November 1998. It won second place in the 44th Tezuka Awards, earning Oda a cool 500,000 yen, which ain't bad, especially
That's
in
not bad,
1993. Yeah, like... By the way, Oda was born January 1st, 1975. I'm not just trying to dox him here. He was just had turned 18 years old when this won the Tezuka Award. So that's not even when he wrote it and submitted it. That is when it won. He had turned 18 a month earlier. So there's a fun, crazy stat. What was happening in February 1993, guys? Groundhog Day. In February 1993. I don't know if you've heard of that movie. We will also be repeating history here.
Yeah, that was the longest February of my life.
Beavis and Butthead premiered in the United States.
God.
Simpsons season 4 concluded. These were the important facts that I have taken away.
I can see. Yeah,
you can see what's happening. Jurassic Park, in June. In Japan, also the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, In Utero by Nirvana came out 1993.
Thank you. I was gonna rely on you for music, so I'm glad I will. That's a good one to know. That's crazy. That was the 90s. As a big fan of grunge, was a big time for that.
A good time for grunge, the 90s.
Yes,
the only time.
That's true. The only
time. It's kind of coming back. Actually, I played a show in Madison, Wisconsin, like 2 years ago with college students, and they were all wearing flannels and essentially playing grunge songs, and it was very bizarre.
Love flannel. That's my takeaway. You're going to notice a trend in my Japanese TV and movies of these days. But I'll start first. Ninja Scroll came out June 5th, 93. Irresponsible Captain Tyler started in January 93. Dragon Ball Z, The History of Trunks, February 24th. Dragon Ball Z Broly, The Legendary Super Saiyan, March 6th. Dragon Ball Z BoJack Unbound, July 10th. They really were pumping those out quickly, is what I learned by doing this research. Top selling games in the United States: Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Super Mario Land 2, Kirby's Adventure. In Japan, Street Fighter 2, Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening, Star Fox. Who was born in 1993? This part I didn't like doing. This part I didn't like doing. Chance the Rapper, April 16th. Ariana Grande, who I pronounced weirdly just then. Let's ignore that. June 26th. And of course, this week in the music charts in the US is topped by I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. So with that out of the way, let's figure out what happens in Wanted. This is a story about Gil Bastardo. Bastar. I added a D-O. Bastar.
You can hear ASAP. You can hear it in your head that he wanted that D or D-O.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I just added it. What do you call that? The thing when you just add it when it's in your head for some reason. Whatever. Anyway, it follows this guy. I'm gonna really try hard on this. Walks through a western town. Finds some douche guy who. Oh, this is great. Who he kills and becomes a ghost and haunts him. And apparently he could see ghosts. That's also a thing that this guy could do. Then he comes up to a hitman at a bar. The main guy gets possessed, by the guy that Gil just killed, and gets himself called out by the hitman. They have a showdown. The hitman loses in a spectacular-ish way, and he's never seen again, even though he wins. Is that generally what happens? Did I miss anything big?
That's generally what happens, yes.
Well, no, he beat the hitman. Yeah.
Oh, with a really long...
He beats the hitman.
Yeah, I said that, I thought. Yeah.
With a very long shot, yeah.
With a sniper shot, but with a handgun, so it's impressive. And try again in 100 years. We will try again in 100 years. So we'll see you in 2126. Stephen, what were your first thoughts? Yeah, sorry, Kirsten.
Oh, no. Go to Stephen.
Stephen, what were your thoughts on Wanted?
My first thoughts when I started kind of getting into it was that it, like, I can almost see the the lined paper, like school paper that he drew this on, like just in terms of the like the ink strength and everything. It's very like one strength, like, you know, all the lines have the same width, the same strength, and there's very, very little, like a couple different pages where he used some screen tone, but otherwise, like, it's pretty much all completely black and white, or, you know, he'll do a little bit of hatching to demonstrate sort of shading a little in between. But yeah, it feels like you can see the high schooler drawing this, even though it is quite good for, I would presume, for, you know, your average high school comic artist would be, but it's very noticeable even compared to the rest of the stories in this book.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Kirsten.
Yeah, I fully agree. The story to me also feels very like, I am a high school boy. What is cool? How about guns?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just watching these people just outright kill each other was very jarring as someone who is now, you know, accustomed to One Piece.
Mm-hmm.
I think this might be where he got that criticism, you know, like, can you stop shooting people, having your main guy shoot people and kill them?
Yeah, it was very bizarre. Also, that, like, try again in 100 years made no sense as a tagline. I feel like it kind of encapsulates this whole thing. It's like, it sounds cool, but then when you dig under the surface...
I'm realizing he just looks like Han Solo. Like, exactly like Han Solo. With the gun and everything. The shirt, I don't think I ever put two and two together there for some reason. But the vest and not in every... He doesn't wear that the whole time, but in some of these panels, it's just identical. Sorry, go ahead, Kirsten. But again, high school.
Yeah. Honestly, I kind of think that all the protagonists in this book look like different versions of Luffy. Except for the guy in the next one who kind of looks like Zoro.
Mm-hmm.
But they all sort of look like, you know, young adult Luffy in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think Oda definitely, especially earlier on, had like archetypal cool guy, which Zoro fits in. I think they all feel like Zoro archetypes, personally. Like all of these main characters. Except for Luffy, obviously. But this one definitely looks like more of an enmeshment of Luffy and Zoro if you like put them in as one character. Yeah, I agree with you guys. This one much more than the rest, I'd even say, really felt like a high schooler. In every way that you could possibly imagine a high schooler, which is cool to imagine anthropologically. But the story, I think he admits it in the next one, but it's like there isn't really a story. This is a bunch of cool stuff that happens. And don't look too deep. But it also makes me wonder, like, I know part of the reason he wrote a lot of these short stories was because he didn't want to do One Piece too soon, right? Like that, he mentions it, I think, in this book.
I think One Piece was always like his idea for a series that he wanted. Like that was his ace up his sleeve that he wanted to, that he was kind of polishing in his head. And so a lot of these other things, he did tons and tons of stories which are not included here that didn't get finished, that he was submitting to his editor, and his editor was saying, yeah, but this is bad. Try again. So a lot of this is kind of trial and error on his part. But yeah, I do think that there are probably some things he was specifically not doing because he wanted to save them for his big series.
But it makes me wonder how much the ending of One Piece will look like a 17-year-old's, reading these really makes me wonder. I guess we'll find out.
Luffy started off as a 17-year-old, so
that's fair. That's fair. Although I think Oda started prepping for this before he was 17. Any other thoughts? Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts on Wanted, the short story? I mean, I don't.
The other thing, just another kind of random observance that I don't think you ever see him do again is this ghost character.
Oh yeah.
The fact that he has a normal-sized face, like a head and torso, but then he has this kind of weird, just little ghosty, like appendages, his arms and his like little tuft. It makes him look like it makes him look, in terms of amateur stuff, it looks like when you draw a character and you're like, wait, I don't have enough space to fill the rest of the to fit them into the rest of the panel, and so you have to draw the rest of their body super tiny, like what a kid would do. And I always that's the first thought that pops into my head when I see this ghost guy, is like, why is the rest of his body so small?
The first thing that popped into my head were those ghosts that Gotenks has in Dragon Ball Z, which may have been happening at the same time. I'm trying to recall, but didn't they? At least in the anime, they had the really poorly done episodes. At least I remember just like a regular face on top of a ghost body is what it looked like, and it reminded me of that. Also, it was very weird since the manga, the front of Shonen Jump this past week or a couple weeks ago had the same triangle Luffy. Oban, yeah, and I had just read this for the first time, and it was very weird timing. Although I know it's just a Japaneseism, I don't know what to call it. Kirsten, do you want to try summarizing Future Present from God?
I sure do. Future Present from God came out in the October 1993 issue of Monthly Weekly Shonen Jump. I did read that correctly. I think this might actually be my favorite in the volume other than Romance Dawn. It's essentially Death Note, but with a slight twist.
That's stupid.
Death Note, but stupid.
Like on purpose. Yeah, on purpose.
Yeah.
On purpose. And I just looked into this. It does predate Death Note. Which
yeah.
isn't...
Yeah, by a long shot, yeah.
I wonder if the authors of Death Note happened to read this in that volume of manga, and maybe that's... or in Shonen Jump, and that's where this came from. Anyway.
Monthly, weekly Shonen Jump.
Monthly, weekly Shonen Jump.
Monthly, weekly Shonen Jump. Essentially what happens in this is that we've got Bronco, and Bronco is a pickpocket, and God looks down at Bronco and is angry at him for continuing his devilish pickpocket ways, and is so mad that he says that a meteorite is going to strike Bronco, but instead he writes, a meteorite will strike Branch, which is a popular department store, and he can't fix it because he lost his special God eraser. So he gets Bronco to tests Bronco with saving everybody in the department store and says, if you do that, then I will not kill you with my special notebook. And Bronco does it. And that's essentially what happens in this.
In pretty spectacular fashion, yeah.
In pretty spectacular fashion, yeah. He calls in a bomb threat to the department store to get everyone to evacuate. But then pickpockets God's
and he goes
notebook.
back in for a kid. This definitely story-wise, he says it has a lot more meat on the bone than Wanted.
Yeah,
he saves a kid at the end.
He saves a kid.
And survives somehow.
And then survives by writing in God's notebook that he survives.
Which he pickpocketed. So, it comes around. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I can do my impressions last. If Steven, do you want to go first?
Sure, yeah. I think I agree with you that this might be the strongest of the bunch. Immediately you can tell there's a couple of really good characters, like Branko, the pickpocket.
Who is the guy with God? Like, that is definitely supposed to be a celebrity.
Guy. Yeah. There's Branko, who is, maybe not too different from the Gil Bastar, but maybe a little better fleshed out. But then, you have God, who is clearly very fallible. It has a lot of hijinks involved. And then the very eccentric assistant of God's, who just kind of pops into the frame now and then to be like a Tsukomi and create humor. And then there's like the weird a department store president who he has some foibles that get involved with Branko trying to trying to evacuate the building to save everybody and stuff. And so there's just a lot of really good characterization. The the sort of the thematic through line of the story of him being a pickpocket and getting, acquiring bad karma that way and being forced to kind of prevent it with an act of good karma, which he then saves himself by doing the same thing again, by pickpocketing the little death note thing, and writing that he will survive and stuff. Like, I think it's a very tightly told story that is very satisfying in the way that it plays out.
Kirsten, you could.
Yeah, I fully agree. And it's like, this one was, I think I laughed out loud a couple times. Like, it's funny, it's well taught. I really enjoy that God just has a little nameplate on his desk that says God.
Not that God, this God.
This God. Yeah, and it's one thing that kind of actually runs throughout quite a couple of these. I mean, it's interesting to read this and know that the word God is going to be evoked in One Piece in several ways, and just feel that Oda has this willingness from a very early age to play with religion. It's very interesting. I think it made me, and I didn't think about this prior to reading this particular one shot, but it made me wonder how that maybe Oda's willingness to play with religion might play a bigger role in who he is as a mangaka, and one of his more distinctive traits than I previously considered. Yeah, and the One Piece humor overall feels very intact in this. It's a great little one shot, a weird novel little story. I kind of wish they adapted this.
Yeah. And the thing that I love most, so from an anthropological standard, I like two things about this, because it's kind of the first time we see this in Oda. You have a concisely that part's unusual, but you have a concisely told story with a beginning, middle, and end that was planned. So a lot of people talk about Oda the storyteller, and I think that certainly is here. but his humor is totally honed in this one. Particularly, you see like the proto-fault faces that are very much common in One Piece, and some of them are pretty terrifying because they're like not quite right. It's like almost uncanny valley Oda fault face for some of them. Like he's got the thing with the gums, which is great in One Piece and endearing, and somehow a little too much sometimes in this one. Like, I mean, it's funny, but it's like, okay, that is a scary looking face you're making at me, guy.
Yeah, some of these artistic details, like he hasn't quite come into his own. Like they look like, oh, this is like early to mid 90s Shonen Jump, like gag comedy style bits that he's doing.
But I think the designs are all really great. I mean, this is the one I think where they have, like, sometimes they have blob background characters, which I know he has talked about, and I don't know if regret is the right word, but he has learned not to do that. But also when you don't have assistance, and I'm sure there was a rush for this for whatever reason, and he did it alone, and he was 17, 18 years old. Like, this one was, I agree, legitimately funny, very interesting, good poop jokes, like, actually funny ones. And also a little heartwarming at the end. Like, I think very well done. Like, definitely, I think my favorite of the bunch. And maybe including Romance Dawn, because the art in that is stellar comparatively. But I guess we'll get there. But first, we have to talk, unless there's anyone else, any other thoughts? Then let's go to Ikiyako, which is the first place winner of the October 1993 Hop Step Award. I know you were thinking about it. Came out in Weekly Shonen Jump Spring Special, not monthly Weekly Shonen Jump Spring Special. Don't get confused. Which came out in April 1994. What was happening then? More Dragon Ball Z Broly, Second Coming. Wow. G Gundam. And in theaters now, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, Lion King, Speed, and Forrest Gump. In games, Final Fantasy VI, Donkey Kong Country, NBA Jam was number 1 in the US for some reason. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 came out, and I said Final Fantasy VI. Why did I write that twice? Who was born this year? Oh, this is the part we love. Justin Bieber, March 3rd. Dakota Fanning, February 23rd. And Bad Bunny of Super Bowl fame, and also other regular fame, March 10th. I saw Mellow Gold by Beck came out this year, and Super Unknown by Soundgarden. I don't know, did you find anything in 94?
Oh, shucks. I don't know. Is
you could do that while I look at Ikiyako and try and describe it.
Right.
This is why? So here we go. It's about a monk who happens by a town, but this monk is a scaredy cat monk. He doesn't like ghosts and runs away when he sees them. And don't worry, there are lots of shots of the moon, which I will definitely bring up. So he goes into a town. The town asks him, "Hey, can you deal with this ghost problem?" Did they had a name for the ghost, right? It was
It was just the man-eating ghost.
Man-eating ghost. That's what it was. It's the man-eating ghost. So he goes to a shrine, but he sees the man-eating ghost, but wait, it's not the man-eating ghost. It's actually a regular, normal, good-looking ghost who lives in the temple. He's the guardian deity of the temple who's lived there 300 years. Then he realizes that they are not, even though he's dressing up like the exact same ghost, he is not that ghost when they realize that the first ghost that he saw that scared the monk was not that one. I'm doing a great job here. And if I do say so myself. And so he encounters the real one, who is an actual man-eating ghost. Although he said he was a man-eater just because they were making fun of him, or what was it that he keeps startling them? I don't know. Anyway, it turns out that he ate the monk's master and also ate the friend of the guardian deity. So they're both very pissed at this man-eating ghost, and they murder the ghost with a slice. And then the guardian deity gives the monk a very, very short-looking sword and walks away, never to be seen again, except that I guess he was seen again, but not really sure about that. Anyway, that's my attempt to describe Ikiyako. Kirsten, why don't you start with this one?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I enjoyed it quite a bit. One of the things that really stuck out to me is that just looking at the monk's clothes, I imagine this to be a period piece, and then when he gets to the town, people are in modern day clothing. There's a guy that is wearing a Nightmare Before Christmas shirt, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
It says Nightmare Before. What else? And Nightmare Before
could
Christmas
it say?
came out. Didn't it come out? I think I had it on this list. I think it came out right before this. Is that possible? Whatever.
It's possible. Oh, by the way, in 1994, perhaps the biggest and most important lasting musical release was Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Yes, I had that one.
Oh,
and the previous for when the previous one shot, I Do Anything for Love, But I Won't Do That by Meatloaf. And yes, The Nightmare Before Christmas came out October 29th, 1993. So literally the month he won this award is when. So you could tell he probably scribbled that in the last second. Look, I'm going to be really current. This is going to age well. And it did.
Yeah. So everyone, he called it Oda Goda.
Yeah.
Goda.
He inspired it. They saw this guy in the background and they decided to make a movie.
Make Nightmare Before Christmas within 29 days.
Yeah. Tim Burton made a claymation film in 29 days just because of some guy's shirt.
By himself.
Yeah, I also really love that the guardian deity has glasses. I think that's a fun little kind of quirky design decision. Yeah, it's
okay. After 300 years, the eyes start to go a little bit.
I don't doubt it. My own are going after 30 some. I'm not going to say this. No. But yeah, it's an interesting and cool little tale. It feels much more like, to do an action series, it feels much more mature than Wanted. There's more meat on the bone here. The sort of avenging the master thing isn't a tried and true trope. It's the kind of thing that you could imagine might have meat on the bone if it was made in the series, but it wasn't. So, yeah.
Steven?
Yeah, I think this one might be my least favorite of the bunch, which is not really a reflection of like the quality of the story itself. I think the art is more refined. Like it's a bit better than The Future Present from God, but it's also a little more consistent. Like he does the goofy faces without kind of stretching outside of the bounds of his own style. And there's a lot of screen tone work. The action scenes, like the fight scenes with the man-eating ghost, are clearly the best that he's done to this point. Like they're pretty solid. Like you could probably like compare do some 1-to-1 comparisons of some early One Piece fights and be like, yeah, this is about as good as what he was doing there. But I do find that some of the dial, or just kind of like the flow of the story, is a little hard to follow. Like there's a section where it's like 6 pages in a row of just like the monk and the guardian deity talking. And I remember I was flipping through this like last night to refresh, and I was just like, what is even happening on these pages? Like where is the story going?
I was trying to do that in my description
conversation. Yeah, it's not the clearest. Although I do think that the plot of the story itself is not bad, and I think it was, you can tell from his commentary as well that like he had this idea of like, well, I'll have the wandering monk who normally carries like a little walking staff sort of thing, and sometimes those figures in fiction are like exorcising ghosts, but what if I had him do some real badass action stuff, and then he used a sword at the end, which is not very monk like, and so I think he was enjoying the juxtaposition of those things and kind of turning this peaceful figure into a bit of an action hero, which is it's interesting in contrast to the other stories that he was doing. There is something unique about this one.
Yeah, I mean, he made this just, I guess, a few months after, presumably. I mean, we don't really know what he was doing when. But the art, I think, is definitely a big step up in the paneling. Like, even the comedic, like, because they do that thing where they're like, oh, you must have been in those woods. But no, I was in the other one. Like, the paneling is a little bit better than, I think, the first two. But I do agree. I don't know if it's my least favorite. Like, Wanted is probably my least favorite. I'll get there. But this one doesn't. Yeah, I mean it's fine. It's like it's a little boring, which is like kind of the worst criticism you could give something, I feel like sometimes. Like it's inoffensive. It's fine. I don't think it's as funny as the God one, and it's not as action packed as what's to come.
Yeah.
So it kind of falls somewhere.
It's partially too that like it's right before the end when he finally beats the ghost that they actually reveal like that he killed the guy who was the monk's mentor and the guardian deity's friend, and like to have all of that, all of the other stuff happen before that point where it's like, oh, this is why it's personal, or this is why like it's meaningful to dispatch this evil ghost. Having that come right at the end of the story kind of makes it feel like, oh well, we're just sort of meandering along until you have an emotional resonance there.
I think of the stories, it really does again make me appreciate the future present from God, because it doesn't feel like, even we're wasting time for comedy sometimes, but it doesn't feel, maybe because it's comedy, it doesn't feel like wasting time as much as this one, Monster, a little bit.
I feel like part of the reason this drags is that Oda is attempting to do the kind of like horror story thing where it's just sort of like boring and quiet and nothing happens until the monster jumps out. And yeah, I agree that it's not quite effective. He's not gonna go on to have a Junji Ito like career as a horror manga author.
To be fair, Oda, even when he does horror, is laced with so much humor that I don't think Junji Ito would ever be an apt comparison for him.
Oh, I mean, Junji Ito does a lot of comedy stuff.
That's true. I mean,
but yeah, it is more comedy than horror for sure.
Yeah, I think it's the other. Yeah, it might be the other way. Yeah, you're right. Okay, Monsters, Kirsten.
Okay, my hot take is that Monsters is my least favorite in this volume.
Ooh, hot take.
Yeah, it's a hot take because it's the one that was made into a thing on Netflix that you can see.
On Netflix.
Essentially, 10 years ago, a monster horn or a dragon horn was stolen. And the dragon horn has mysterious powers, so it's really bad that it was stolen. And we cut to the present day, and there's a cool sword fighting guy named Shirano, and he's hanging out with a waitress named Flare. That consistently, as I was reading this, I had to constantly remind myself that her name was not Frail, it was Flare. And a cool samurai swordsman named Ryuma shows up, and he hasn't eaten for 5 days, and Flare gives him a meal, and just as he's saying that he owes Flare for the meal and will do anything, Girano, the famous swordsman, clinks his scabbard on Ryuma's scabbard, and Ryuma gets really mad and challenges him to a duel because he thinks that's dishonorable. But Girano wins due to a quick draw kind of thing, even though Ryuma slashes a bronze statue in half. End scene, he goes outside. There's a swordsman named DR walking down the street. But then we are told about a dragon attack that happened that made Shirano the famous man that he is, where a dragon destroyed an entire town in a night, and Shirano saved one child who ended up being the waitress at the bar. Meanwhile, back in the city, I feel like we're already foreshadowing my criticism of this story. DR walking down the street. Ryuma walking down the street. Their scabbards clank. Ryuma gets upset. Challenges DR to a duel. DR somehow has a knife stuck in him. Oh no! He dies and frames Ryuma for his death, but before he dies, he freaks out and takes out the stolen dragon horn and then toots it to summon the dragon and then breaks it so no one can do anything. And the entire town freaks out because now a dragon is coming, and several people assure them that it was the real dragon horn, but Ryuma is blamed instead of the dead DR, and everyone is mad at him and hates him as they flee the town. And then, as the town is nothing, it's just Ryuma and the waitress Flare. But as they wait, it is revealed that Shirano, the famous swordsman, and DR, the guy that we thought was dead, were in cahoots. And they were taking the treasure, all the treasure from the town, all for themselves. It was an evil plan. And not only did they do it this one time, but they did it to Flare's hometown, where they killed everyone that wasn't killed by the dragon and took all the treasure. And Flare even killed, Shirano even killed Flare's dad. So they suck, and Flare sees, and Ryuma sees, and now Flare is sad, and she puts up a strong face, but then goes to her room and cries and sort of loses her will to live, and does not evacuate before the dragon comes. But Ryuma is pissed, and so he kills both of them, and he kills the dragon, and his name is cleared, and it is revealed that his people call him Ryuma the King, the greatest swordsman in the world. The end.
Could have been D King and lost that opportunity. Steven, since I know you're tighter on time.
D.E. King.
Thoughts?
I think for all of the stories in this book that do not feature Monkey D. Luffy, this might be the most One Piece-y of them, just in terms of the general setting and worldview and like the kind of storytelling that he's doing here. It does, like, you can see a lot of echoes of tighter, maybe better told little arcs, story arcs. Like there's a little bit of similarity to the Buggy arc. There's a little bit of similarity to the Captain Kuro arc here.
And it takes place in the same city from Wanted, the one shot from the beginning.
Does it?
Exact
Or are
same.
you just saying
it
that?
It looks exactly like that.
Yeah, there's some similarities. So it does, and so in that sense, like I do understand why he would have decided to reuse this Ryuma, swordsman for his eventual reveal, his kind of hidden reveal in One Piece much later on. Although I do think that I'm one of those people where, like, the fact that he appears again, I'm like, that feels more like an homage rather than like oh my god, this took place in the world of One Piece. It really does not feel like in terms of the existence of the dragon, for one thing, and the fact that, like, there's no other real hooks that kind of say that this would be the One Piece world for me. Yeah, so there's some decent storytelling here, although it is a pretty long one. I think this might be the longest in the bunch, and it does, some of the art is good, some of the art is a little clunky as well. DR definitely feels like a rejected One Piece design.
It looks like every filler One Piece movie villain that you see.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's got it written on his face, the D and the R across the eyes. It's such Oda. This is definitely, I agree with you. This is the most like typical One Piece sort of chapter, for all the good and for all the bad and for all the meandering in the middle. It is very One Piecey. Steven, did you have anything else to say? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I don't think there's really much more that I have to say about it. I mean, it was interesting to have to work on this separately ahead of all the other ones. But it also meant I had one less story to worry about when we we did the whole book.
One.
But yeah, exactly.
I remember when I read it at the time. Did we do like a recap? I don't even remember. It is definitely, it does feel a little meandering, but it is anthropologically, I think I get why Oda likes this one in particular, and I get why it's so interesting anthropologically. I think he really hones his art in this one. Like, there's a huge jump, in my opinion, even though it comes out like this comes out October 30th, 1984 in the Weekly Shonen Jump Autumn Special. So it only like 6 months after the previous one, but it does feel leaps and bounds better in art, in terms of art. And in terms of story, like, it's like a proto flashback, like all of those kind of devices that Oda will use later. It is like a much, much more, and again, not to be taken offensively, but much more basic version of those. Like, I think if a 18-year-old or 17-year-old today would be like, okay, I'm going to draw like a proto One Piece thing, and they have no experience in comics or anything, that they would do something like Monsters, story-wise. The last one's Romance Dawn.
Wait, I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Kirsten. Sorry, jeez. I know Steven's in a rush. That's why Steven's in a rush. I was just making sure you were moving.
Yeah, you're right. It feels like a proto flashback, but like, yeah, it feels like Oda is trying to do the flashback thing where there's this tragic backstory, there's this betrayal, there's a woman that has been saved and is in distress. But all the versions of that, it feels like it's at its basest form. The art has not yet been honed. The woman is not yet empowered. And
sorry, I wasn't. It's Russian.
Oh no, that I did mean in the story, but if you want to take that as a dig,
her
that's
opinion
okay.
wasn't being asked.
Just gonna go run away.
But yeah,
Deservedly.
like Flair's arc bothers me, and I think that's part of the reason this is my least favorite in the bunch. Like, it feels very much like she is there to be the damsel in distress, which happens all the time in One Piece, right? But like every time that there is a damsel in distress in One Piece, as we will see with the next one, there is something kind of badass or redeeming about the woman in question that saves it from being sort of like, and then the strapping man saved the woman, whereas like Flair just is suicidal by the end of this for a little bit, and then Ryuma shows her that it's good to live, and I don't know how I feel about that. I also just feel like there's so much that he's packing into this that it just feels like the pacing is wild to me. It feels, and it's a one shot, it can't be helped. But I had this feeling watching the Netflix too, where I just couldn't get settled in the world because I just new things just kept being thrown at me at a pace that I couldn't keep up with. So yeah, this feels like Oda trying for the first time to tell an epic story. And from that, I can definitely understand why he's partial to it from that perspective, but for me, it doesn't land at all.
Mm-hmm. She's a very like one-dimensional character. Like she's a nice person. She's a nice waitress who has a sad, like bad things happen to her. And I feel like that's a lesson that he kind of learns pretty quickly, is that like the quote unquote the victims or the innocents in the story are much more interesting if you give them a little bit more dimensionality, and not just so much of a cardboard stand-in.
There's a lot of cardboard stand-ins in these early. Well, yeah, for the most part in these. I don't want to generalize too much. Mm-hmm. The last story here is called Romance Dawn. It's the second version of these, and it differs greatly from the ones you know. It came out in Weekly Shonen Jump, the regular one, in 1996 in issue number 41, which came out September 23rd, 1996. Date, might be wrong, but that's what I found. And it was adapted into episode 907 on October 20th, 2019. What happened in September 1996? Independence Day was number one in the box office, just like Stephen predicted before we started recording. Followed by Twister, Mission Impossible, The Rock, and The Nutty Professor. I don't know how, but I think I've seen all of those movies. And I don't watch a lot of movies.
Might be right.
On TV, what premiered? Arthur, Hey Arnold, season 8 of The Simpsons, and for me personally, a Rugrats Hanukkah. Come on.
Hell yeah.
Good episode. Even if you're not Jewish, excellent episode. In Japan, also hitting on all cylinders, Mobile Suit Gundam 8th MS Team, Detective Conan premiered and continues to this day. City Hunter, Vision of Escaflowne, and in the Dragon Ball vein of things, we were in the height of it. Now Dragon Ball GT premieres in 1996. Meanwhile, in the gaming world, I never updated those. I don't know if you could come up with games and music if you want, Kirsten, but you could do that while I read Romance Dawn, a story about a Monkey D. Luffy That pause is just so people
That's
could
right.
groan. Yeah. You know what? He
I
should
did it
be
in my
pronounced
heart.
like that in this one. They should pronounce his name like that in this one because it's like a different character. He doesn't have the scar that we all know and love. We could talk about differences for days. But yeah, Monkey D. Luffy, because it kills me to say it the other way. Here comes a panda bird, drops into his boat. And so instead of coming out of a barrel, he comes out with a panda bird. And meanwhile, this is the character. It was brought up, I think, in one of the OPLA interviews that we did, like as a trivia spiel, as like a character that's the bad guy. And
Right.
Nami, I mean Anne, which is Nami backwards a little bit and not the whole way.
A little bit.
A little bit in English, kind of, with an extra N and without the M and the A. Oh my god. Anyway, so yes, there's a Nami. This is a similar to Buggy situation because you got instead of Zoro in a cage, panda bird, pretty similar.
Yep.
You got Spiel the hexagon inside of Buggy. I mean, pretty similar there. Does he do anything particularly? He has a devil fruit, I think they mentioned, right? Anyway,
He's a sorcerer.
No, he's a sorcerer. Yeah,
sorcerer. Right, that's what it was. Everything's like slightly different. It's the Majora's Mask of the One Piece world. This chapter. So excuse me as I say things wrong throughout. You might remember Red Rock, the move, if you've read One Piece into the future. Here we got an actual rock, which is what that panda bird is. Anyway, they get thrown in a brig, which is the most empty room I've ever seen in my life, with no distinguishing features. Anne talks about
a lot of space in that. A lot of space for a prison for them to hang out.
It is really funny that it's like nothing's happening and Luffy's just looking out this tiny little window. It is
And
pretty,
it's like, nice view.
There's some funny panels here. Yeah, no, look at that. Hey, look at that. There's waves. And I also like the line, I could just kill you right now. Please don't. Please don't. It's not a very Luffy line, but it is very funny. And yeah, we get a little backstory with Anne in that, you know, she was basically raised with the rock panda bird. ROC Rock, by the way, not The Rock, the movie that hit the box office in 1996. Very similar characteristics to Nami, you know, saying, it's because I'm pretty that I could. What was she saying? Oh, why did they kidnap you? We find out, as every One Piece fan knows, the difference between Peace Mains and Morganeers. God, this is the Majora's Mask of One Piece. That's what this is. It's you're taking the same characters and settings and moving them around into different things. I'm just getting this now. We get a flashback, Luffy's flashback, as we all remember, raised in a bar in a town with pirates. His grandpa, who does not have a name, but looks identical to Garp, and wears a straw hat, wants him to be a good pirate. I think that, does he say specifically peace main?
Yes, he wants to be a peace main like his grandpa, as we all know.
Yeah, I like his turn. It's like, I don't want to be a pirate anyway. I don't need to swim after eating the gum fruit, which is still called that. And then his big turn is, no, I was lying. I really do want to be a pirate. And so then Grandpa punches him in the face after Luffy, and then Luffy kicks him in the face, and he gets guilted about it. And Luffy says, the straw hat belonged to my grandpa, as we all know.
My violent old grandpa.
My violent old grandpa is a great line from
An
Steven.
amazing line.
Yes. Yes. My violent old... By the way, we have been making fun of that violent old grandpa on the show for a while. I guess there's a spoiler. I may have said his name. Well, you know, this is actually, as I said, it's the Majora's Mask, so this is all completely wrong. Actually, this is like how a high schooler would spoil One Piece for someone who had never read it. It's like, yeah, and this guy shows up, and anyway, her treasure is a balloon, and so they talk about their treasures. So that's a similar thing to One Piece. I get that. Luffy somehow escapes the cell. It's mysterious. And then we go back out to the deck where we have Hexagon. He's being all menacing. Some great paneling. And then Anne gets shot in the back, which is the easiest place to shoot someone according to Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Safest place to shoot someone. And Luffy does the bullet thing where it doesn't really go through him from, the episode 1 chapter, whatever that was. And he gets hit with a hammer, and then he kapows Hexagon and throws him away. But after Luffy describing his power, we see Hexagon riding a broom and holding the panda bird, Balloon, which is the name of the panda bird. The panda bird's name is Balloon, and it's a rock. I hope you got that. Anyway, he escapes with it and explodes his own ship as he takes the rock away. It's a valuable bird. Anne saves Luffy, cries because that's why they kidnapped me. Okay, so they didn't want Balloon to escape, so power of friendship with the bird. And Luffy, encouraging her not to give up. Meanwhile, he flies away off to Hexagon and lands on the bird, surprising Hexagon, who's still flying through the air. Sorry, Spiel. Hexagon's easier to say. And accidentally touches his hat, and Luffy doesn't like that and thwacks him. And thwabams him. Is that a thwabam? Did I miss the bam? The bam. Thwabam. There we go. Luffy gets carried away by Balloon, the bird rock, and we see the grandpa saying, "Let me tell you this, a real treasure isn't some enormous diamond. You'll learn that one day." And we see a few years later, a pirate by the name of Straw Hat Luffy would rise to prominence on this very sea 2 years later, where we'll join him in Volume 1 in a completely different setting and different characters and all that. Steven, first, Romance Dawn, version 2, your thoughts?
He's like 98% of the way to One Piece here, just in terms of the presentation. Like it's super sharp. He's got it's detailed. It's got great character to it. Like it pretty much looks like this could have been chapter 0 of One Piece, which, effectively it is, but like, he could have drawn this like the week before he did chapter 1.
Oh yeah.
And it would look about right. So yeah, it's got all of the hallmark details, and obviously, as you said, the Majora's Mask, it's reused assets here. There are so many like familiar little details and story devices and things that he does, like the little miniature cage on the deck that they have to free someone from. What was it? There was another thing. Yeah, like the shooting Luffy and then bouncing back the bullets, some of the action shots of him like stretching his mouth and everything. And he even does the like "don't touch my hat" thing, where he looks a little bit more like Shanks in this picture. Not
it's
so much
very
like Luffy.
Good, though. Yeah, it's the scar. Yeah. He's missing his scar, and it's distracting. Definitely.
Right. Yeah. There's just enough. It's just in that little uncanny valley compared to the finalized version of these characters. But yeah, it's clearly like you can see that he is ready now for the prime time of Shonen Jump, and
he
it is interesting
even in this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no. Yeah. That's what I mean. Is like this is him saying like, okay, I'm ready now.
You could tell.
Yeah.
Kirsten.
Yeah, it's interesting as like a proto One Piece. Like, there's the sorcery thing is such a hat on a hat. I was waiting for the reveal that Spiel wasn't a sorcerer, he just had a devil fruit, which is what
Right.
100% would happen in main One Piece. But no, he just is a sorcerer.
He rides a broom.
Like, you can hear the editor in your head being like, just drop the sorcery thing. It's too much. And same with the, like, Peace Main Morganeer thing. That was a really bizarre thing to read.
Yeah.
I'm really glad they dropped that.
I think it's just bizarre, though, because... I was just going to say, I think it's just bizarre, though, because we're so used to not having that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clear that, like, Peace Main became the Navy. You know, with Garp. But it's more, like, it's so much more interesting to have all pirates be pirates and to navigate the emotional gray space of there being good pirates and bad pirates, and to have force Luffy to navigate that space, than to be like, no, there's good pirates and there's bad pirates, and they're even called different stuff, and, like, Peace Mains are the Robin Hood of pirate. Yeah, it's... I'm glad that was dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And it also just sort of, I think, made things unnecessarily complicated. But there's so much, like, Luffy as a character is almost there. It's fun to see Oda figure out what he can do with Luffy, the kinds of gags that you can do with Luffy. The last moment of, like, Luffy facing Spiel and being like, don't worry, it'll arrive soon. My other hand. And then just, like, the shot out to the hand, his hand coming in for that final punch is very funny. I really enjoyed that moment. I enjoy Balloon in general because I love a weird little animal. Happy to see Oda experimenting with weird birds this early on. Oh, yep. But I love that final panel of, like, Balloon carrying Luffy by the head in his beak is very funny.
Yeah, that was another one that, like, he did that later.
That? Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what's good.
Yeah. It feels like Luffy overall is a little more, like, sinewy, it feels like to me in this design, but it's panels like that where Oda is figuring out that Luffy can be gummy. It's almost there. I found it very charming.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but for this one, I think Oda... So I'm looking... The version 1 of Romance Dawn, it was published a few times. I think first in Red Grand Characters, like in a book, which I'm holding. Yes. It's one of the data books.
Yep.
But it was also, I know, it said it was in the Summer Special 1986 from August 4th. Oh, wow. 30 years ago, just about, almost to the week that we are sitting here recording this. What an auspicious occasion. But yeah, that one has Shanks. That one is so similar looking. I mean, the arm thing, well, we'll get there next time. That he purposely was holding back, right? Like, he purposely didn't want to show the full story.
Yes, he did say that some of the details, and because the other one, the first version of Romance Dawn, had certain details that he wanted to use for chapter 1 of the main series. And so he put that was the one that was in, like, the quarterly special, which is a much lower profile magazine than just a regular issue of Jump. So he was like, okay, I'll kind of quote unquote hide it over here.
Soft
so
launch, isn't that what it's called?
Right. So that, so that when the people who only read regular weekly Shonen Jump, when they finally see chapter 1, some stuff about it is going to still be surprising.
Yeah, it's very much noticeable. The art is outstanding, I think. Like, it is such a really jump from all of the others. Like, leagues better. I mean, there's also, I think, at least a year or two between this one and the others. So obviously this is, and he also wrote version 1 between this, and that looks great too. Like you could tell it's probably a combination of things. He had more time. It was for Shonen Jump, so he had probably more resources. He had more pressure.
Yeah, he'd been working as an assistant for professional authors at this point. So
he knew the ins and outs.
He had tons of actual work experience.
And this is the story. Like, this is the one he's been working on through the entire time for all of these stories that we've been reading so far. Like, this is the one he's been itching to do. I think it shows. It's funny though, if you're a reader in Shonen Jump and reading that for the first time in that order. Now I'm just thinking it is like playing Majora's Mask before Ocarina of Time, and it must have just been very odd. Because I think this is the anthropological chapter of this volume. So, Stephen, before we go, if you had to rank these, which I'm forcing you to now, how would you rank them?
In order? Ooh.
Best to worst? Or objectively, subjectively.
Yeah.
If you had to maybe I should say this. If you had to reread them, what order would you most be excited to reread them?
I think for me, it would probably be something like Future Present from God, and then Romance Dawn, and then maybe Monsters, and probably, maybe Wanted, and then Ikiyako. That's probably my order.
Kirsten?
I think mine would be Future Present from God, Romance Dawn, Ikiyako, Monsters, Wanted.
Yeah, the only reason Romance Dawn would not be number 1 is because I've read enough One Piece.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think if it were a real standalone story, which is hard to imagine, then it probably would be number 1 for me. But yeah, no, Future Present from God, Romance Dawn. Yeah, I think I might agree exactly with, because Monsters is a little more interesting. There's more meat on the bone. Wanted is stupid and fun and interesting because of the anthropological reasons. Ikiyako definitely has the least. It's not bad, as I said. It's just there's not a lot there that's that interesting that I need to dig into. But I do want to let Stephen go because I think we've already kept you longer than we said we would. Where could people find you, Stephen?
I'm on Blue Sky, stephenpaul.bsky.social. And just check out One Piece if you hadn't heard of it.
Well, this is the time. Start at the beginning chronologically. So thank you, Stephen. We'll see everyone else on the other side of this break. See, Nidhogger wouldn't have been 796. This were later.
The celestial dragon shitty dog at 503.
Stalker, Vice Admiral Stalker at 854. Too high. Forgot. You shall pass.
Astrid at 674.
Oh, poor Astrid. No, she
Astrid.
deserves worse.
Yeah,
she deserves worse. Although I know she is exactly some people's type. For the morality does not map onto popularity. I do love her as a villain. Like, she's an awful person, but an incredible villain. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. We're still recording because this is the outro segment. We've just been talking about this the entire time you've been listening to us also talking. That works, right, Kirsten? Yeah, that works. Yeah. Any other characters here? We haven't had King Baum yet, right? Because that's who I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, that's a big one. And who else are we missing? He's not on here yet. who is I should see who won our Glub Shitbeard rankings. Let's see. I have to really scroll back far. Oh, I'm in the wrong thing. That's why. People love listening to Dead Air. Kirsten, say something.
Something.
Thank you. Perfect. Okay, I found it. Just in time. I think our main one was Sarfunkel. Kingbound was our runner-up, though. Whoop Slap still hasn't shown up, I don't think. Did Peek at the Crotch do well? Because that's a big one from us. I don't think so. Peek at the Crotch is in the top 500.
Not yet in here.
Yeah. Josh? What about Josh the cat? God, Josh isn't in here.
Josh not in here.
Ah, Josh, good job. Rockstar? No, Rockstar.
God,
Stefan, the dog? No. Kinderella? Yeah, 870. Lime Juice? No, not in here. Pomsky?
Coach isn't on here yet for me.
Pomsky's 1293. Our Pomsky folks really dropped the ball there. Bonk Punch? No. Bonk Punch has a chance. Do I remember which character Bonk Punch is right now? No, I don't. Does it matter? No, it doesn't. Oh, and King Hamburger. And by, Hamburger Lincoln. I'm sorry, Burger Ham Lincoln. I messed up the joke. Shit. Anyway, well, the U.S. doesn't need that one, I guess. Kirsten, thank you so much for doing this initial episode with us. And really excited to get into One Piece officially next time. This was all just, prep. Where could people find you and the good work you do?
You can find me on Instagram at KirCareygtr. And on Blue Sky, just drop the GTR bit. If you would like some music in your thing, hit me up. I would love to write music for your thing.
I could not write music for your thing, so don't hit me up on that. You can find us at onepiecepodcast.com. Buy the Book will be getting its own feed at some point in the not too distant future, so you could check that out. Please also check us out at youtube.com/onepiecepodcast. As I said, since this is going to get its own feed, they will also not have our intro and endings that you're listening to here. So hopefully they will be a little more evergreen and you will be able to throw someone straight into the deep end with these episodes. But we're doing, keeping things, there's just a lot of news. People have to know where King Bound ranked, and we don't have that news. But if we
I just need to go off about SpongeBob.
Yeah,
it's because I wanted to go off about the One Piece SpongeBob collab.
And I want to talk about the fact that one of CP0's agents is named Joseph. Like, what?
Joseph.
So boring. Joseph. Anyway, a lot of fun. Check us out again, patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. We have alternate titles, alternate images from our amazing artists, and a huge thanks again to Kirby, who Kirbified us. And we'll see you next week. We're going to be going through chapter 1191. And until then, my name is Zach.
My name's Kirsten.
We'll see you next time. Buy the book. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Well, that ends one chapter. We could come up with something better, right?